Welcome, traveler. I am aware of the reason of your arrival here. Besides, you do not look like someone who needs children's fairy tale. Do you seek knowledge? May I see it? Perhaps my asking about the location of your marvelous find would be redundant. Let me guess. You cannot open it. Of course. I must say, I haven't laid my hand on such an unusual artifact before. Well, of course I've seen a couple of green ones, but golden? No. Scarce few possess such a powerful vessel. Okay. Now, I need silence. I need to concentrate. Looks like it worked. Let's see. Looks like it's a book in a forgotten language. It's good to know that I know it. But I will have to translate it. However, I can tell you the title right away. It's called A Dancing Fire. Chapter 1. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Now I get to work. Come to me in a few moments. Okay? I'm glad to see you again. Well, I've translated chapter 1. Would you like to hear it? Excellent. Let's start. I've compiled all my notes in this book. It seemed as if the palace had always housed the Atrus Building Commission, the company of clerks and estate agents who authorized and notarized nearly every construction of any note in the empire. It had stood for 250 years, since the reign of the Emperor Magnus. A plain-fronted and austere hall on a minor but respectable plaza in the imperial city. Energetic and ambitious middle-class lads and ladies worked there, as well as complacent middle-aged ones like Scotty. No one could imagine a word without the commission, least of all Scotty. To be accurate, he could not imagine a world without himself in the commission. Lord Artrus is perfectly aware of your contributions, said the managing clerk, closing the shutter that demarcated Scotty's office behind him. But you know that things have been difficult. Yes, said Scotty, stiffly. Lord Vanek's men have been giving us a lot of competition lately, and we must be more efficient if we are to survive. Unfortunately, that means releasing some of our historically best, but presently underachieving senior clerks. I understand. Can't be helped. I'm glad that you understand. I'm glad that you understand, smiled the managing clerk, smiling thinly and withdrawing. Please have your room cleaned immediately. Scotty began the task of organizing all his work to pass on to his successor. It would probably be young Ibralius who would take most of it on, which was as it should be, he considered philosophically. The lad knew how to find business. Scotty wondered idly what the fellow would do with the contracts for the new statue of Saint Alicia, for which the Temple of the One had applied. Probably invent a clerical error, blame it on his old predecessor Decimus Scotty, and require an additional cost to rectify. I have correspondence for Decimus Scotty of the Arteries Building Commission. Scotty looked up. A fat-faced courier had entered his office, was thrusting forth a sealed scroll. He handed the boy a gold piece, and opening up, by the poor penmanship, atrocious spelling and grammar, and overall unprofessional tone, it was manifestly evident who the writer was. Leodes Eurus, a fellow clerk some years before, who had left the commission after being accused of unethical business practices. Dear Scotty, I imagine you always wondered what happened to me, and the last place you would have expected to find me is out in the woods. But that's exactly where I am. Ha ha. If you're smart and want to make lots of extra gold for Lord Artrus and yourself, haha, you'll come down to Valenwood too. If you haven't or have been following the politics near lately, you may or may not know that there has been a war between the Boschmer and the neighbors elsewhere over the past 2 years. Things have been only just calmed down, and there is a lot that needs to be rebuilt. Now I've got more business than I can handle, but I need someone with some clout, someone representing a respected agency to get the quill in the ink. That someone is you, my friend. Come and meet me at the Mither Pascus Tavern in the Falenesti, Valenwood. I'll be there 2 weeks, and you won't be sorry. Eurus. P.S. Bring a wagon load of timber if you can. What do you have there, Scotty? Asked a voice. Scotty started. It was Imbralius, his damnably handsome face peeking through the shutters, smiling in that way that melted the hearts of the stingiest of patrons and the ruffiest of stonemasons. Scotty shoved the letter in his jacket pocket. Personal correspondence? He sniffed. I'll be cleared up here in just a moment. I don't want to hurry you, said Ambralius, grabbing a few sheets of blank contracts from Scotty's desk. I've just gone through a stack, and the junior scribe's hands are all cramping up, so I thought you wouldn't miss a few. The lad vanished. Scotty retrieved the letter and read it again. He thought about his life, something he rarely did. It seemed a sea of grey, with black, insurmountable war looming. There was only one narrow passage he could see in that wall. Quickly, before he had a moment to reconsider it, he grabbed a dozen of the blank contracts with a shimmering gold leaf. Arcturus Building Commission by appointment of His Imperial Majesty, and hid them in a sachet with his personal effects. The next day, he began his adventure with a giddy lack of hesitation. He arranged for a seat in a caravan bound for Valenwood, the singly escorted conveyance to the southeast, leaving the imperial city that week. He had scarcely hours to pack, but he remembered to purchase a wagon load of timber. It will be extra gold to pay for that horse to pull that, frowned the convoy head. So I anticipated, smiled Scotty, with his best Imbralius grin. 10 wagons in all set off that afternoon, through the familiar, idyllic countryside, past fields of wild flowers, gently rolling woodlands, friendly hamlets. The clop of the horses' hooves against the sound stone road reminded Scotty that the Arcturus Building Commission constructed it. 5 of the 18 necessary contracts for its completion were drafted by his own hand. Very smart of you to bring that wood along, said a grey-whiskered Breton man next to him on his wagon. You must be in commerce. Of a sort, said Scotty, in a way he hoped was mysterious, before introducing himself. Decamus Scotty. Griff Malon, said the man. I'm a poet, actually a translator of old Bosmer literature. I was researching some newly discovered tracts of the Noriad play bar 2 years ago, when the war broke out and I had to leave. You are no doubt familiar with the Noriad, if you're aware of the Green Pact. Scotty thought the man might be speaking perfect gibberish, but he nodded his head. Naturally, I don't pretend that the Noriad is as renowned as a mere Aelidion or as ancient as the Nancyr Gaul, but I think it has a remarkable significance to understanding the nature of the Merilithic Bosmer mind. The origin of the wood elf aversion to cutting their own wood or eating any plant material at all, yet paradoxically their willingness to import plant stuff from other cultures, I feel can be linked to a passage in the Noriad. Malon shuffled through some of his papers, searching for the appropriate text. To Scotty's vast relief, the carriage soon stopped to camp for the night. They were high on a bluff over a grey stream, and before them was the great valley of Valenwood. Only the cry of seabirds declared the presence of the ocean to the bay to the east. Here the timber was so tall and wide, twisting around itself like an impossible knot begun eons ago to be impenetrable. A few more modest trees, only 50 feet to the lowest branches, stood on a cliff at the edge of the cap. The sight was so alien to Scotty, and he found himself so anxious while the proposition of entering the wildness that he could not imagine sleeping. Fortunately, Malone had supposed he had found another academic with a passion for the riddles of ancient cultures. Long into the night, he recited Bosmere verse in the original and in his own translation, sobbing and bellowing and whispering wherever appropriate. Gradually, Scotty began to feel drowsy, but a sudden crack of wood snapping made him sit straight up. What was that? Malone smiled. I like it too. Convocation in the malignity of the moonless speculum, a dance of fire. There are some enormous birds up in the trees moving around, whispered Scotty, pointing in the direction of the dark shapes above. I wouldn't worry about that, said Malone, irritated with his audience. Now, listen to how the poet characterizes Herman Moore's invocation in the 18th stanza of the 4th book. The dark shapes in the trees were some of them perched like birds, others slithered like snakes, and still others stood up straight like men. As Malone recited his verse, Scotty watched the figures slowly leap from branch to branch, half gliding across impossible distances for anything without wings. They gathered in groups and then reorganized until they had spread to every tree around the camp. Suddenly, they plummeted from the heights. Mara, cried Scotty. They're falling like rain. Probably seed pods, Malone shrugged, not turning round. Some of the trees have remarkable. The camp erupted into chaos. Fires burst out into the wagons. The horses wailed from the mortal blows. Casks of wine, fresh water, and liquor gushed the contents to the ground. A nimble shadow dashed past Scotty and Malone, gathering sacks of grain and gold with impossible agility and grace. Scotty had only one glance at it, lit up by a sudden nearby burst of flame. It was a sleek creature with pointed ears, white-yellow eyes, mottled pied fur, and a tail like a whip. Werewolf, he whimpered, shrinking back. Cathay rat, groaned Malone. Much worse. Khajiiti cousins, or some such thing, come to plunder. Are you sure? As quickly as they struck, the creatures retreated, diving off the bluff before the battle mage and knight. The caravan's escorts had fully opened their eyes. Malone and Scotty ran to the precipice and saw 100 feet below the tiny figures dash out of the water, snake themselves, and disappear into the wood. Werewolves aren't acrobats like that, said Malone. They were completely Cathay rat, bastard thieves. Thanks, Tendar, they didn't realize the value of my books. It wasn't a complete loss. So, did you like the story? Splendid. In the meantime, I wish you good night and sweet dreams, dear traveler. See you next time, I hope. Bye-bye.